So when it comes to this Celeste Rivas situation and the singer named David, we are getting a lot of information when it comes to not only David's connection to Celeste, as I'm sure you all have seen a plethora of those clips and those TikToks, and we talked about a lot of them here, but now we're starting to figure out things might start to be moving and getting closer to some criminal charges in this case. So we've got an article we're going to check out from ABC News. We also have some breaking news with David allegedly hiring an attorney, a criminal attorney nonetheless. So check this out from ABC News. They have an update here when it comes to what happened with Celeste and her body being found in this Tesla.
And a death certificate is revealing the cause of death for a teen found in singer David's car is still undetermined. That death certificate obtained by ABC News lists 15-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez's cause of death as deferred, and police say the medical examiner has also not yet determined her manner of death. But law enforcement sources say they are diligently investigating how she ended up in the trunk of David's Tesla and will rely heavily on the pending toxicology report. ABC's legal contributor Brian Buckmeyer has the latest. Brian, LAPD says its robbery homicide division has been diligently investigating, but this has been weeks now. How long does it usually take to gather and release information on just cause of death?
Not long at all.
Well, I will say, Diane, that even though the
Shout out to Brian.
robbery homicide unit is investigating this case, it is still being investigated as a death investigation and not a homicide one. To answer your question more directly, though, it could be anything. It could be from a matter of days to a matter of years. It all depends on the information that is provided, as well as how long that body has been there when law enforcement found it. We do know from reports that the body was there for weeks, and so this could take time. The body was released to the family, so it seems there's not much more to do in terms of investigation, but to wait for that toxicology report, as you pointed out.
The death certificate notes that she was not and had not been pregnant in the last year. Do you think that helps investigators here at all?
I think that helps in the sense of trying to provide a motivation as to the murders. Of course, that's not what proves a murder. Motive is often not an element that's needed when it comes to proving the case ultimately if this does go to trial. But it does help the investigation in terms of moving forward. If she was pregnant, for example, in the past year, or if there's able to find that she was pregnant more recent to her death, that could have provided with a potential suspect based on who might have gotten her pregnant.
So that helps them rule that out, at least in terms of search for motive. And Brian, people online are now pointing out a similarity between where Celeste was found and David's One More Dance music video. And in the video, it depicts him dragging and stuffing a body into the trunk of a car. He also performed with a casket on stage during his recent tour.
Yes, this really happened. And if you go back and listen to some of his lyrics, Amy's been covering this on her X account as well. Things get spooky when it comes to David.
And that abruptly ended after this news broke. Could these creative choices end up involved in the police investigation or a potential trial if it ever comes to that?
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm going to say possibly. And the reason why I say possibly is if there are some similarities by the way in which the body was disposed of. We know that in that music video, he's depicted of, I believe, dragging himself towards a car, two individuals.
Brian, to say possibly, Brian gets on my nerves, man. Brian gets on my nerves sometimes. Shout out to Brian. I think he's a very smart, intelligent man. But we've seen lyrics and music videos used in trial for less than someone being deleted. All right. So there is 1000% certainty that if David is indicted in the murder of Celeste Rivas, that these music videos, these lyrics are going to be used at trial. What are we even talking about here? I hate that I have to interject on that point, but saying, maybe they'll bring it to court. Of course they're going to have it in the indictment. Gee, come on, dude.
One More Dance music video. And in the video, it depicts him dragging and stuffing a body into the trunk of a car. He also performed with a casket on stage during his recent tour, and that abruptly ended after this news broke. Could these creative choices end up involved in the police investigation or a potential trial if it ever comes to that?
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm going to say
Yes.
possibly. And the reason why I say possibly is if there are some similarities by the way in which the body was disposed of. We know that in that music video, he's depicted of, I believe, dragging himself towards a car. Two individuals, as we're seeing here, are placing individual depicted as himself inside the car. That is, of course, very similar to how Celeste's body was found in a car registered to his Tesla. But if that's where the similarities end, I don't think that this music video or even some of the music like Romantic Homicide may come into the case. If there are similarities to show either a lack of mistake or some kind of intent, then that could be used against him. But I would imagine his defense attorney would have a very strong First Amendment artistic expression defense that would negate that argument from a prosecutor if we got there.
All right, Brian Buckmeyer, thank you.
Brian clearly hasn't heard of YSL because it's not even a question. And shout out again to Amy for posting this. When it comes to David's defense attorney, we have more of an insight into who he hired. If you haven't followed Amy on X, she gives some amazing updates on news that's going on that we report on here on the channel and even outside of what we report on here. So follow her over on X at IAMYLEIGH on X. All right. And the link will be in the chat and in the description for y'all as well. So Amy says David has hired one of the best attorneys in LA. Blair, her name is Blair Burke's first assignment was to defend Ozzy Osbourne, rest in peace, whose song lyrics were being blamed in a civil suit following the self-deletion of a Georgia teen. Blair Burke listened to the tape, realized it had been remixed by the record company, and got the case against Ozzy Osbourne thrown out before trial. So there is David's attorney. Give a round of applause to Blair Burke. Now, what other information do we have about her? Let's see what they're saying here. David hires criminal defense attorney to the stars, while experts believe Celeste Rivas Hernandez may not be a homicide. Oh my goodness. Bad decision led to teen tragedy, says the Los Angeles PI Steve Fisher on Rivas Hernandez case. I don't know how they're going to spin this with not being a homicide, but okay, I'm here for it. In a development that has intensified further pressure on the once rising musician David Anthony Burke, known professionally as David, sources close to the investigation confirmed on Tuesday that the 20-year-old artist has retained a high-profile Los Angeles criminal defense attorney, Blair Burke, to represent him in the ongoing probe into the death of 15-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Burke, renowned for navigating celebrities through DUIs, public scrapes, and minor legal entanglements, has limited experience in murder cases, though she has handled them before. Most recently, Monica S., I don't know that name, accused of murdering her hairdresser husband. Oh my God. This hiring surfaced on the heels of a statement from the Los Angeles Police Department suggesting that criminal liability may not extend beyond the concealment of a body. As the case unfolds, private investigator Steve Fisher, who has closely tracked the investigation, warns that the narrative may be shifting toward damage control rather than a full-blown homicide case. Fisher, speaking on a recent broadcast with Los Angeles, painted a picture of a case that could boil down to a misdemeanor charge under California law for concealing a body, punishable by a year in jail and fines. I find this extremely hard to believe. But again, California, as many of you know, we talked about the California laws when we were covering the ASAP Rocky case. California be different. So, wow, this is insane. Let me read this again. Fisher, speaking on a recent broadcast with Los Angeles, painted a picture of a case that could boil down to a misdemeanor charge under California law for concealing a body, punishable by up to a year in jail and fines. From that news release, it sounds like the concealment of a body is probably what we're looking at, Fisher said. He speculated that authorities might frame the incident as an overdose or OD gone awry, where somebody made a bad decision and she ended up in a Tesla. So that has to mean to me that somebody else is getting involved. This is wild. This is the first time I'm hearing this. With no apparent homicide charges on the horizon, which is one of the reasons why David may not be in custody right now, David's role in Fisher's view extends beyond a police station or a courtroom. It's also about managing a PR nightmare to salvage his career. As we know and have reported on, David's canceled a lot of his shows, especially and most recently the one coming up on the 19th was canceled, and he's pausing his album release as well, which Withered, I think is what it was called. It says, it's going to be a tough thing to do at this time, Fisher added. Nothing the viral backlash that David has experienced due to his lyrics, possible connections to minors, and creepy merchandise on his website. However, the stakes could escalate if evidence surfaces of a relationship between him and Celeste. David has remained silent since the grim discovery of Rivas's body on September 8th, the day after her 15th birthday, in the front truck of his Tesla abandoned in the Hollywood Hills. Fisher also revealed information from a close source indicating that Rivas was spotted at parties alongside David and her own siblings as recently as this past summer. The revelation raises more questions about her status during the periods when she was listed as missing, as well as the recent September 2024 footage that TMZ obtained of Rivas at home with her family. This is weird, man. An active missing person report had placed her in the National Crime Information Center. That's troubling because nobody cleared her, Fisher emphasized. Why wasn't law enforcement notified that they had eyeballs on her? They knew where she was at. That's not the way that it's supposed to happen. Her family was in touch with her and had an idea where she was at, and that's the real problem. Again, the missing person claims were filed. The family, as exposed by TMZ, knew where Celeste was after they filed the missing person. She allegedly came back home. She's seen arguing with neighbors on a Ring camera. So she was in the area. Her family knew where she was and knew she was found. Why would they not notify authorities? This whole situation is getting very strange. Now, we have an update from Amy. Again, make sure y'all go follow her on X because she gives some more information and background into what's going on with this Tesla and what possibly could be happening with Celeste and David. And this is a real picture of Celeste and David, by the way. The mysterious Tesla key card, Amy says. Remember, in one of her recent posts, we learned that many had access to the Tesla. She says, please note the person that found this lives close to where David lived. Reports on social media indicate that a Tesla keycard was found near a Hollywood Hills home where musician David had been staying. The discovery is connected to the death of Celeste Rivas, whose body was found in a Tesla registered to singer David. The details of the key details on the key card with no pun intended. All right, there was a Reddit user posted about finding a Tesla key card in the gutter near David's former residence on September 26. Allegedly, the person who found the key card reportedly handled it with their bare hands before turning it into the LAPD, potentially contaminating any forensic evidence. The LAPD has not officially commented on the discovery of the potential relevance to the investigation. Context of the investigation: the discovery occurred weeks after Celeste Rivas' decomposed body was found in the trunk of the car on September 8th. The key card's location has led to speculation among online observers about why police did not find it during earlier searches. Some have suggested the key could have been lost by someone who last drove the car. Wow. Also, keep this in mind. When it comes to the car situation, Teslas, as many of you may know, are very high tech and have a lot of information in them. One of the some information they may have on the Tesla is who was driving the car at the time, who was in the vehicle, who was around the vehicle at the time, and they should, in a lot of cases, be able to narrow this down. Will we have to wait until the trial to see what happens? Possibly. And one of the questions that I've had throughout this entire thing that I want to read an article about is, why in the world has David not been arrested or brought in for questioning that we know? We know about him hiring this attorney, Blair Burke, now, but I think this Yahoo News article gives more insight into maybe why things are seemingly slowing down and David's just running around, I don't know, waiting, looking at his clock to see if there's going to be an indictment or not. Who is David and why hasn't he been charged? Check this out. All right, let's go all the way down here to why David has been charged. Because this is what I want to know. Why David hasn't been arrested? The answer comes down to the legal process and forensic evidence. Investigators need probable cause to arrest David, but right now they don't have it. With that being said, if you're completely innocent and someone is found chopped up and not alive in your vehicle, wouldn't you want this same type of process? Because think about it. Crazier things have happened, right, guys? We've seen some insane things on this channel. It's possible that this could happen. Is it likely? I don't think it's likely that you're innocent and this happens. But is it possible? Yes. So the fact that it was his car and they just don't have him locked up and behind bars for the foreseeable future, I think you have to respect that, especially when it comes to seeing things from an innocent until proven guilty standpoint. On the other hand, you think we would at least have a report of David being questioned at this point. I mean, this is wild. But anyway, authorities have ruled the manner of death as a homicide, which we know, yet the cause of death remains undetermined. Consequently, the LA County Medical Examiner deferred the cause of death, requiring additional testing and studies to make that determination. Without knowing exactly how Celeste died, prosecutors cannot file charges against David. Was it strangulation, blunt force trauma, poisoning, overdose, another cause? The answer remains unclear. And it seems like it would be difficult, especially if her body was dismembered, right? LAPD Captain Williams explained the situation clearly. It remains unclear whether criminal culpability exists beyond the concealment of her body. Circumstantial accusations exist. Her body was discovered in Burke's car. Circumstantial. However, circumstantial evidence is not enough to build a criminal case. We're not talking about a criminal case. We're talking about a simple indictment. Again, we know the phrase, you can indict a ham sandwich. The fact that it's his car, he had a relationship with her, she was missing, he was probably one of the last people to see her. What are we doing? Even if it's a setup, I mean, we need to be asking a lot of questions here. But again, the law is the law. Investigators need forensic evidence directly linking someone to her death, which causes me to believe they may not have found anything. For this reason, police have cautioned against rushing forward. I agree. Naming a suspect without sufficient evidence could compromise the entire investigation. Again, I respect it. If you're new to this channel, one thing I will say is we believe innocent until proven guilty, period. If it needs to go to trial, you got to go to trial. All right. We can see certain things. We could hear certain evidence beforehand, but eventually you are innocent until proven guilty. And it seems like the LAPD is really being cautious with this. And I think the state of her body has a lot to do with that. It was David's car. Obviously, his DNA is going to be there. If they had a relationship, his DNA would probably be on Celeste as well. But if they can't connect David directly to her death without knowing what caused it, then you're going to have problems. So let me know what y'all think about this in the comments in the chat. David's got a criminal attorney, allegedly. We'll wait to see what happens next. I want to know what you guys think.